Hey 7th graders, welcome to Chapter 4, Lesson 4. In this lesson, we're going to be adding and subtracting unlike fractions. This will look fairly familiar to the previous lesson. The only thing that's different is we don't have common denominators. Our goals is I can add and subtract unlike fractions, and I can find least common denominator. We really want to find least common denominator. It's okay to find common denominators, but it's better to find the least common denominator. Standards, 7th grade, number standards 1, 7th grade, number systems, standard number 3. Let's go ahead and begin this lesson. Alright, in chapter 4, lesson 4, our rules are this. To add or subtract unlike fractions, we actually have to change the fractions so that the denominators are the same. So what we're really doing is we're changing unlike fractions to become like fractions. Once they're like fractions, all we got to do is add or subtract those like fractions. So that's what we're going to do in this lesson. Let's go ahead and start. Alright, in example 1, we're going to be finding 1/2 plus 1/4. Now, notice right now the fractions aren't the same. Since our fractions aren't the same, we cannot actually add them together because 1/2 plus 1/4 does not equal to 6. So what we need to do is we need to make it so that the denominators, or the numbers on the bottom, are the same so we can actually add them together. Now, if I had 1/2, I'm looking at 2, and usually one of the rules is, can I change this denominator to become that denominator? And in this case, we can. We can change a 2 to make it a 4. Well, to change 2 to 4, we have to multiply it by 2. And if we do that to the bottom, we have to do that to the top. 1 times 2, that's 2. 2 times 2, that's 4. So the problem is really 2/4, which is actually 1/2 plus 1/4. So we changed 1/2 to become 2/4, but it's the same fraction. 2 out of 4 is still half of 4. So what we did is we renamed the fraction to have a common denominator. Now that they're the same, we should be able to add these. If I have 2/4 plus 1/4, then that means I really just have 3/4, and that's our answer. Let's go ahead and look at another problem just like this. In example 2, we're finding what 3/4 plus 1/5 is. So we're looking at these, and again, our denominators aren't the same. When they're not the same, you cannot add the fractions. It's your job to make it so that they have the same denominator. So that's where you're going to multiply the denominator to change them so that they're the same. Well, if you multiply the denominator, you also got to multiply the numerator. So if I have 3/4 and I have 1/5, what we do is we look at the denominators and we say, what number does 4 and 5 both multiply to first? So 4 times 1, that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 20 is the number. So I want to change 4 to 20. And if I want to change 4 to 20, then I multiply it by 5. If I multiply the 4 by 5, I multiply the 3 by 5. So 3 times 5, that's 15. So I'm really looking at 15/20. 1/5, I know I'm changing a 5 to 20 as well, so 5 times 4 changes it to 20. 1 times 4, that's 4. 5 times 4, that's 20. So the problem I'm really looking at is 15/20 plus 4/20. Well, if I have 15 out of 20 plus 4 out of 20, then I really have 19 out of 20, and that's my final answer. So what we did was we made it so that way both of these fractions changed to something out of 20. We changed the 4 by multiplying it by 5, and then we multiplied the 3 by 5. We changed 1/5 by multiplying both the top and the bottom by 4, and now it's something out of 20. Once they have like denominators, we just solved the problem just like we did in the previous lesson. Let's go ahead and do another example. Alright, in example 3, we're looking at 3 different fractions, and we're going to add them all together. Now, again, before you can ever add or before you can ever subtract, we need to make sure that all of these fractions have the same denominator. Well, this one's denominator is 4. This one's denominator is 9, and this one's denominator is 4. So I need to think about where does 4 and 9 have a number in common? Well, 4's is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. 36, that number. So what we're going to do is we're going to change all of these fractions to be something out of 36. So I'm going to multiply the negative 3/4 by 9 on the bottom and 9 on the top. Negative 3 times 9, That's negative 27. I'm going to change 5/9 by multiplying this by 4, because 4 times 9 is what's going to change it to 36. 5 times 4, that's 20. 9 times 4, that's 36. And then I'm going to change this last one, 7/4, by multiplying it by 9 on top and 9 on bottom, because again, my goal is to have 36 on the bottom. 7 times 9, that's 63. Is that 7? Yep. 4 times 9, that's 36. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these together. Now, this is inside parentheses, which means we have to actually solve that first. So looking at this problem, we have negative 27 out of 36 plus 20 out of 36. So I'm looking at this, and I have more negatives than I do positives. How many more negatives do we have? We have 7. So we're going to say it's negative 7 out of 36 is the answer to that inside the parentheses. And we're going to take negative 7 out of 36 and add 63 out of 36. Okay, so we have 7 out of 36, negative 7 out of 36, and we're adding 63 out of 36. I'm going to move this. There we go. So now that we're adding these, we have to think about this. We only have 7 negatives, but we have 63 positives. We have more positives. So this is where we take 63 and we subtract 7. Well, I can't do 3 minus 7, so I'm going to cancel out the 6, make that a 5, and make that a 13. 13 minus 7, that's 6. So I get 56. So this is going to equal 56 out of 36. Now it says write the answer in simplest form. Now simplest form means I cannot have an improper fraction. 56 out of 36 is my answer, but it's improper. It's improper because the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So what I do is I say, if I have 56, how many times can I take away 36? I can only take away 36 away from 56 one time. So the answer is going to be 1. And then if I say, what's 56 minus 36? Well, I'm going to get 20. So it's 1 and 20 out of 36. Now looking at 20 and looking at 36, I know I can divide both the top and bottom by 4. So 1 and 5/9. That's my final answer. So if you get this answer, that's okay, that's a C. If you get this answer, that's okay, that's a B. And if you get this answer, that's okay as well, that's an A, because that is in simplest form. In example 4, we're finding negative 2/3 minus 1/2. Before we begin this problem, we first want to get common denominators. So I'm thinking about 3 and I'm thinking about 2, and they're first going to have a number that's in common at 6. So I'm going to change the denominators of both of these to become 6. Well, negative 2/3, I'm going to multiply by 2 on bottom and 2 on top. Negative 2 times 2, that's negative 4. 3 times 2, that's 6. So this is negative 4/6. The other one, we have 1/2, and we're going to multiply it by 3 on bottom, 3 on top. 1 times 3, that's 3. 2 times 3, that's 6. So this problem is really going to be a negative 4/6 minus 3/6. So this is the problem we're actually going to be solving. Now remember, whenever we have subtraction, sometimes it's okay to just KCC. Keep, change, change. So negative 4/6, keep it the same. Change subtraction to addition. And change this 3/6 to a negative 3/6. So the problem we're looking at is a negative 4/6 plus a negative 3/6. Well, if I have 4 negatives and I have 3 negatives, how many negatives do I have? Well, I got 7 negatives. So my answer is negative 7/6. Well, that's improper, but if you get that answer, that's okay, that's a C. So what we do is we say if we have 7, how many times could we take 6 away? 1. What's left? Well, 7 minus 6, there's 1 left. So our answer is a negative 1 and 1/6. And that's our answer to this problem. That's really all we got to do for this lesson. So in this lesson, we're changing fractions that don't have common denominators to having common denominators. Once they're the same, we either add them Or if it's subtraction and it doesn't look like it's something that we can do in our head, we KCC. We keep it, we change it, and we change it. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you tomorrow.